Hello there. I'm Coach Chris. I'm the founder and CEO of the Recovery Journey and also the developer of Addiction Freedom Courses. Um, Recently, I blogged on my website uh, about the big question of why as it relates to alcoholism and addiction. And I wanted to spend a moment uh, talking here through this medium about the big why question. So let me give a little setup for this. Um, Addicts and alcoholics are not bad people. Addicts and alcoholics are great people with a serious and debilitating illness. Okay, let me say that first, and let's get that um, checked in as People's Exhibit 1. Um, what I want to express to you has to do with the human body. In a properly formed human being, there are about 216 bones in the body. And those bones work great, and they form our skeletal being. Um, and everything works well with our bones until one gets broken. The idea of a person being broken through addiction or alcoholism or substance use disorder, as it's sometimes called, can be related to those 216 bones in the human body. If a bone breaks, it can heal. You may have to put a cast on it. You may have to go through some physical therapy. You may have to have some help. You may need a cane or crutches or a wheelchair or a sling for your arm. Or you may even need to go into traction if it's a vertebrae or one of the bones in your back that gets broken or um, uh, messed up. So very much like the idea about the human skeleton and the bones, we also have a brain that has millions of parts. And when addiction infects a person, they become ill. But just as a bone can be healed and put back whole, so can the addiction that lives inside our brain. So people want to know why. That is one of the forever questions of the human spirit, is we want to know why. If you have any children around, or if you can remember when you were small, kids always want to know why. You know, Daddy, what are you doing? I'm cutting this board to fix the garage door. Why? Why? People want to know why. And it's inherent from the time we're born, is we have this inquiring mind and we want to know why. And what I have come to understand in 26 plus years of studying and working with alcoholics and addicts and people with addiction, substance use disorder, is that sort of sometimes even the hidden question in the back of their minds, even in their recovery process, they want to know, why did this happen to me? The why question is so important, and lives in the addict and alcoholic's brain, just like it lives in the brain of the parent or spouse of an alcoholic or an addict who don't understand why their loved one can't or won't stop drinking or using. It's the why question. So really quickly, I just want to dive in for a second, and this is going to relate back to a previous video that you may have seen. It's certainly in a couple of the blogs on my website. The web address, by the way, is www.addictionfreedomcoach.com. And I have, I don't know, maybe a dozen or more blog posts there that cover a lot of topics. But one of them is the why question, and I wanted to bring it forth in this medium so that more people could be exposed to it. The why question about alcoholism and addiction is all about brain science, and I'm not talking mumbo jumbo. I'm talking proven, scientific, data-driven information about the way the brain works. And the why question, why did I turn out to be addicted to alcohol? Why can't I stop drinking? Why can't I stop taking pain medication, opiates? Well, here's the answer to the why question. It's about the science behind the way the brain works. And if you do some drilling down into this, if you really want to completely answer your question, excuse me, about why, you need to understand the way the neuro biological system works in your brain. Okay, we have neural pathways in our brain. We have the prefrontal cortex, and we have something in the middle of the brain, in the midbrain, that is kind of like a relay station, okay? And what happens with addicts and alcoholics is that we discover that there is a pleasure sensation associated with mood-altering substances. And once the brain recognizes that every time I eat a piece of chocolate cake, it makes me happy. I love chocolate cake, and the sugar and the great taste make me love it. And my brain records that good feeling, and it also releases certain chemicals in my brain that we'll call the pleasure chemicals, things like oxytocin, things like all of the chemicals that are released that give me the sensation of pleasure. So, same thing happens with drugs and alcohol. The brain releases the dopamine and the oxytocin and the other chemicals in through my system that says, that I like the way that alcohol made me feel. It records that, okay? It records in my brain the fact that it felt good and I enjoyed the effect of alcohol or the drugs. So that's cool. It's just like eating a piece of cake, okay? I know that cake's good, and I want to eat another piece of cake as soon as I can. Even if I know that chocolate cake is going to put pounds on me and maybe be unhealthy for my body, I still like it and I still want it. Same thing with the alcohol and the drugs. I begin to develop a craving for that good feeling that I get from using the alcohol or the drugs. The neural pathways begin to recognize that every time I drink or use a substance, just like every time I eat a slice of that chocolate cake, that I'm going to feel the pleasure chemicals released throughout my brain. Now, I can keep feeding that, and the more I feed that, the stronger that sensation becomes, and the higher or the more intense the desire for that good feeling becomes. With the addict and alcoholic, the effect becomes so overwhelming that we begin to have uncontrollable urges to drink and use. And one of the side effects, of course, one of the reasons that the brain releases those pleasure chemicals is because the mood-altering substance takes away all our cares and worries and fears and puts us in a state of non-reality, a different reality. And in that different reality, we're not thinking about the job or the spouse or the problems that we have with money, financial issues. We don't think about or linger on negativity that may be going on in our lives. What we've discovered is that if I drink enough alcohol or use enough of these pain pills, I can go into a different reality and not focus anymore on what my issues, my real problems are in the real world. So this is the why for alcoholism and addiction. The why is the escape from reality, and the why about the addiction to keep doing it is about the chemicals in the brain that are produced and released through my neural pathways up into my prefrontal cortex that say, hey, you're feeling bad right now, or you could feel a lot better, or you could not think about the issues that you faced at your job today, or the argument you had with your spouse, if you have a couple of drinks. Because up here, we know, the brain knows, that there's an escape mechanism. So that's the why for the continuation of the usage of the substance. Now, does that make me a bad person? That I want to escape my problems? Absolutely not. Take, for example, the travel industry. You know why the travel industry is so huge and so widespread throughout the world? Is that people take a vacation to escape their normal surroundings, and it feels good. Dopamine, oxytocin are all released in the brain when a person's going on vacation. When they get off the plane or get on the ship for a cruise, they're feeling good and they're loving it. They are receiving pleasure from that. Okay? So that is a really good comparison, or a good analogy about alcoholism and addiction, is to understand the why is I want to escape my current reality. The problem comes a little later when I decide that I'm starting to have some negative consequences from all this good feeling that I'm getting. I'm going to talk about that in my next video, but for the time being, I'd like for people to think about the fact that the why can be very freeing, to understand that you don't drink and use because you're a bad person, or that you want to somehow you're intent on letting people down and disappointing your spouse or your parent or anybody or your employer. That's not why we drink and use. We drink and use for a very natural and understandable release of happiness, comfort, and a feeling of escape from negativity. Hang on to that thought, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the why in the next video. But that's the how, and that's the what, okay, and the why. So we're going to talk more in the next video. Thanks for stopping and tuning in to this video. You can go to my website, addictionfreedomcoach.com, and you can read my blog posts. And I've covered a lot of these things in the blog post. I hope that you will check these things out, and I hope they provide some education for you that may help you to overcome a problem with substance abuse. There's also my program that's available. It's a completely online, it's a digitally delivered online at-home recovery course with everything a person needs to hear and learn and watch and experience to overcome addiction and to become clean and sober. And I developed this course over 26 years of experience. And I hope that you'll check that out. If you need help with overcoming addiction, go to the website and read about how you can sign up for the course. It's a whole lot better than going into an alcohol and drug treatment center and staying for 30 days and thinking you're being cured. I give you a lot of recovery in this course that I'm talking about. So have a great day, and thank you so much for tuning in. Coach Chris, see you next time.